What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mountain Witch Tarot channel. Today we are talking about Donald Trump being rushed to Walter Reed Hospital. We're going to see if we can confirm or deny that. And if it is confirmed, we want to know what the story is surrounding that event. And if it is denied, we want to know what the truth is of that day, what actually happened, what was up with the sightings of the ambulance going to Walter Reed, and why did Trump go missing for I think it was 3 to 5 hours, maybe a little more than that. So before we get started, hit that like button. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe, stick around, become part of the community. Let's go ahead and lay out this tableau and see if we can get some answers. The ring in the sun here makes me think of a medical machine that spins and, exudes light or whatever it is that they do. I guess utilizes light for the imaging. That sounds a lot like an MRI. And the mountain definitely, kind of adds to the vibe of being stuck in something. I think we're already getting an answer about some type of imaging device here. So let's keep going and see what the clover is talking about. We have Trump at the end of the first line here. So he's on the top line. So he's looking towards all this. I think we're seeing a reference to an imaging device. And then what we're seeing here is kind of a little bit of the reason why, at least for now. We might get, a little more in detail as we go. But it looks like something small or something happened, like a very small thing that they thought, this is probably not a big deal, but let's go get it checked just in case, because we want to stay on top of this type of stuff. So if something does come up, we don't want to kind of leave it to fate, basically. Now, the next three cards together are pretty interesting here, and I think they're going to go a couple of different ways, and maybe the context will clear this up as we go. But we have the crossroads, the garden, and the key. So if we're looking from a medical standpoint, I think what we're seeing here is some type of reference to something like veins, because you think of veins kind of snaking their way in multiple directions, go in different directions. But keep in mind that double meaning, this could go either way. We don't want to leave it to fate. That still stands. But this is, I think, something needing to be opened up, because we have the garden, which is an opening up, gathering of people. We need people to open up this situation. And the key, a lot of times in medical readings, for me, is a reference to keyhole surgeries or ports or something like that. So it's almost like we need someone to check a port. Now, keep in mind, I don't know anything about medical stuff. This is just what the cards are telling me. So if this makes sense, if this rings bells, if you're a medical professional, you can let me know. If it doesn't, then I don't know, because this is I feel pretty strongly about this. Something needed to be opened up and checked. There's some type of pathway that was most likely blocked, or maybe had a small block. Okay, because we do have the clover in the mountain here, which this is really interesting, by the way, guys. I'm really excited about this one. Something did happen. I think this is our confirmation already. He absolutely did have a medical emergency. I don't think that it was anything, he didn't fall over and black out for 30 minutes or anything like that. He was conscious, probably. But I think there was something came up that they were yeah, no, we need to go get this checked. This is not okay. All right. So I know that's a little bit of an over explanation, but like I said, I'm really excited about that, because it's one of the most detailed explanations that I've got from Lenormand about Donald Trump's health. So let's keep going and see if we can get the rest of the story, because we want to know what happened that day, what happened that evening, how did it go at the hospital, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's get the second line. I'm going to go ahead and say that we are now seeing a reason as to why he had this medical emergency, and it has something to do with an end or news of an ending coming to the House and government. What's that sound like? Congress. Now, we do normally reassign the House to be the White House. in these political readings, but I think it can have multiple meanings, as the cards tend to do. And because the tower is next to it, I feel like it also kind of shapes the meaning of the house card a little bit, so that it's not necessarily just the White House. There could have been some stress at the White House, but I'm pretty confident that this is talking about Congress. So somehow the end of the shutdown, or news of the end of the shutdown coming towards him, contributed to this issue. So let's keep going. Now, since we are looking for the story of that day, I'm going to rephrase here, and I'm going to say that maybe he didn't get so excited about the end of the shutdown that he lost control, for lack of a better phrase. But there is something very important coming through here, and I feel even more confident with these cards coming out on the end that this is definitely about the shutdown. So another possibility is that this came around the time, or at the same time, or, within proximity of him hearing that he was about to get his way in Congress. Because once we get past the beginning of the line here, we have coffin, anchor, moon, fox, snake. So what does that mean? Well, the anchor is generally stability, or something, you think of an anchor, something big and heavy being dropped into place, and it can't easily be moved. And then we have the moon card, which is, it's your reputation, it's your work card sometimes, it's how people see you, sometimes it's the things that you desire. Then we have the fox and the snake. So I think that the moon card's leaning a specific way because we have the fox and the snake here. And this is very obviously self-interest and deceit, and a malicious form of self-interest. So I feel pretty confident in saying that this line is telling us that around the same time, Donald Trump got news that he was about to get his way in Congress. So let's keep going and see what else we get. Funny, his presidential duty to the country has been diminished. Yes, Donald, yes, it has. I apologize here for, if it's a little crooked or whatever. And the readjusting, these cards are a bit bigger than most of my Lenormand cards, and it's kind of hard to fit them all on screen at once and keep them straight. So I'm having to do a little bit of an overlap here. So the third line, interestingly enough, is kind of telling us something that we sort of already know. So we've got the lilies, the mice, the dog, the heart, and this, simply put, I believe, is just his loyalists and the people around him who have been emotionally invested in this, and really just kind of, a lot of feelings tied up in what's going on right now, because it's kind of a pivotal moment. They're telling him, we don't want this to continue on because, it's having a pretty big impact on your, the way that your base views you. So we're kind of seeing that there. And then as we move towards the center, this has been like a long time of like planning and communicating. They've really been working pretty hard behind the scenes to kind of steer this situation in the direction that they want it to go in. And so they've put a lot of work into it. It's been pretty much, a big heavy cross to carry on their back. But now they need something to transform. They need, in the stork here, we do directionals with this deck because, some of the cards are pointing. So the stork pointing at the cross here, I'm going to interpret it as, it's time we change this. This is getting to be too much. We don't want to keep this going the way that it's going. So we need some type of moving away from the situation. Republicans have a way of keeping their distance from the problems that they create, but this one's getting a little bit too close for comfort. And I think we're probably going to see more of that come through once we start reading the blocks after we've got the whole tableau. So let's go ahead and get the fourth and final line, and then we'll get the fate line and see what we've got. I can't help but think of the big, beautiful bill here. I feel like that's exactly what the cards are talking about, the big, beautiful bill. Because we've got something big and important. We've got something new. We've got something beautiful. And then we've got the whip card, which is a bad card, which indicates, in my opinion, it references the negative side of that bill. So, and how hard that they have fought to kind of get it off the ground and get it into action. These last 4 cards are kind of giving me the feeling that they really are shaken right now and rattled. They don't know the fate of this bill. I wish that I could convey this message to some Democratic senators who are about to give up and, give in, because that's happening right now as I film this. Be sure to call your senators, by the way, if they are considering voting with the Republicans. But what I'm seeing here is that they really feel pretty scared for the fate of this bill. I think, with the clouds in the book, there's this sense of we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to get what we want. The birds, the nervousness, the way that, if this doesn't go the way they want it to, this can set off this energy of, how when you walk up on a bird, like if you're sneaking up on a pigeon in the park to try to catch it and take it home with you, if you spook one of them, they'll all fly away together. It's that kind of energy. So it's like, well, if we don't get this big, beautiful bill off the ground, everything collapses. Everything takes off like those pigeons in the park. And that's what the scythe is here, I think, to kind of reinforce, is that they are really close to failing, and the Democrats are about to give in at the final hour. So that's kind of sad. And I know that we're looking at, what happened to Trump that day, the Walter Reed event, but this is tied in so tightly. And I think that's why the cards gave us such a solid line about the actual medical event itself, is because all of this has to do with what's going on in Congress. I think Trump is so emotionally tied up in this. I think it's really causing him a lot of suffering, mental and emotional anguish right now. And if the Democrats only knew how close they were to just absolutely decimating the Republicans' plans, I think they'd take another approach. They would step back from this situation and be like, okay, maybe we shouldn't just give up right now. But, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We might do a reading on that too. So I think we should have 4 cards left. Yep, we got 4 cards left. Let's go ahead and spread those out, and we will flip them over, and that will be our fate line. 2 things right off. We're going to look at the corners, and we're going to look at the center 4 cards. The center 4 cards, it's talking a lot about stagnation and being kind of stuck in a place of ending where, and the heart card here I'm going to interpret as just everything in life. Like Donald Trump's health problem, this is the one. Like, I'm not saying that he's going to die soon. I'm just saying this is probably what's going to be the end of him. Whatever's going on right now, I think that there is a grim outlook for it, and I don't think that it's going to be one that they can just medicate him heavily and move on with the day. Like, this one's going to progressively get worse, because I just feel like this big heaviness here of like, well, you know what you have. You know how this goes. We've explained to you what the process is. It's not going to get better. There's nothing we can do. All we can kind of do is hope and try to maintain. Okay. And so there's a couple different meanings tied up in those 4 cards there. And that's essentially what I get from it. Now, the 4 corners over here, I think, is another reference to that. I think we're seeing, pretty much with the scythe and the bouquet, he's taken a big hit to his happiness and the things that please him in life. He doesn't have a whole lot left that is making him feel good about waking up every day and doing this job. He is feeling very disconnected. We've got the ring here with the scythe. He's just feeling really disconnected and really distracted by what's going on with his health. And I think it's impacting what is happening politically. So the more that he doesn't get his way, the more that negative energy is kind of feeding into his health issues. And maybe people out there can relate, how when like something bad happens, you have a bad day and it's like, well, I've already got this other big problem that I just can't get out from underneath the stress of, and then everything's piling on top of it. It's kind of like that. I think that's what he's feeling. And I think that's probably our answer as to why this line ties in with these 3 lines, because these 3 lines are pretty I'm almost 100% certain these 3 lines tie in with Congress specifically. So that is, and the big beautiful bill. And I think that is what's really pushing him over the edge right now. He just can't handle it. It's too much stress. He's got too much riding on it. And there could actually be more riding on it than what we know. And I think that might be what we're seeing down here in the fate line to some degree, because we have the ship card, the stars card, the fish card, and the lady, which is generally the administration. So I think one way we could read this is that the administration is telling him this determines everything. This is our GPS for the next however many years you're going to be able to stay upright and functioning. This is the determining factor. So this is like so important. But they're telling him, we've got everything riding on this. I think if we look at this vertical right here, there is a good sense of a lot riding on it. So I've told you all this before. I don't know if you remember. If you've been here for a while, you've heard me say this. When the cards start repeating themselves in every direction, the energy is really strong around something. So this is a really big deal. We're not getting any more than this for as far as like the medical event itself. The rest of it is really tied up in what's going on with Congress. I think that is so interesting that he is so emotionally involved in this situation, that he's letting things like this affect him. And I think that that's a good sign that, as long as we have people fighting against him, it is taking a toll on him physically and as far as his health goes, as it should, because he's doing a lot of heinous stuff right now. It shouldn't be easy. He shouldn't be able to just breeze through these things. So he should get some pushback, and he should suffer a little bit for, the consequences of what he's doing to this country. So we love that for him, that he's kind of getting a little bit of comeuppance. As far as, there's a lot of random details here, but I think the tableau put it out straightforward. This is all about Congress. Everything that we've already went through here, that's what it is. Every direction that I go, it's kind of reiterating what we already have pinpointed in the cards. That means the energy around this situation is incredibly strong. And basically, I feel like a lot of times when this happens, it means that the course is set and it's going to go how it goes, and there's no changing it at this point, if that makes any sense. So some interesting connections here. If we, again, look back at Trump and we knot him, can go over, knot him to the moon card, knot him to the cross. He's really stressed out about the reputation and about the impact that this is having on him. I think there's also a reference here to not time. It's most likely keeping him awake, most likely causing him a lot of problems at night. We do have stagnation, the burden. Let's see, the anchor. So it kind of looks like if we look around the moon card, we're seeing him experience some confusion in the White House at night. Possibly traveling through the White House. I think that this is one reason that they've started putting up signs outside the doors, is because at night he's kind of getting lost a little bit. He's getting so stressed out that it's just kind of propelling his diagnosis further down the spiral and causing him a lot of, extra problems, added stress, things like that. Also kind of seeing that here, if we look across, just focusing again on the moon card and this 9-card block around it, and the anchor and the fox feels like him getting stuck. So he's trying to survive, so to speak, and getting stuck in the process. So basic things that he's doing, just trivial daily tasks that he's doing, he's getting bogged down, he's getting stuck in place, he's having a lot of trouble pulling himself out of these situations. And then to connect that with like the tree card, definite stagnation, a lot of standing still, being stuck in place. Communication is getting harder. I think this is probably a reference to, and again, we're just looking at for some health meanings here. So we've got, a pretty decent indication around this block of cards. He's having trouble communicating with people. He's having trouble probably with his online posts and things like that, struggling to speak, struggling to express his thoughts, maybe like some brain fog or something like that. He's really going through it right now. This is all taking a pretty big toll on him. We've kind of already done the tree card because we talked about the center four, but if we look at the others around it, I feel like, connecting the tree, the clouds, and the book, there is this clouded sense of not really knowing what's coming. And it's kind of like back to back here with the book and the clouds, and the book facing or opening up in the direction of the clouds and the dark side of the clouds here. Confusion, just lots of confusion, lots of lack of understanding. He's having trouble communicating. We have the clouds and the letter touching each other, clouds and the book touching each other, big communication problems. And the bear card being here places more importance on this. So big communication problems. He is not well, for sure. This is, it's getting really bad, I think, at this point. I don't know how they're kind of getting him through the day and through press conferences. We know that some of the appearances he makes, some of the videos are for sure AI, especially the ones where you kind of see him sitting down at the desk and speaking really straightforward and coherently. And kind of, he hasn't done one of those in a while, but those videos are definitely AI. And I'll tell you, as someone who also suffers from brain fog because of, Lyme disease and some of my other health issues, I can tell you a lot of times it's really difficult for me to be able to communicate verbally and in the written form. And it's really pretty awful. So I don't know how anybody can be a sitting president and have this degree of trouble when it comes to the most important task, probably, of running the country is communication. And he is not able to do it. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. Not that it matters too much, but right over here, if we look at just the White House card, I think there is a hint here that people are really kind of coddling him. And like I said, this is, just something that I see. I don't think it matters in the grand scheme of things, but it really kind of looks like people are telling him, everything's okay, everything's fine, you're going to be fine, we're going to get through this, we're all right here with you, because we have like a communication card and, someone bringing and taking and just like carrying messages, carrying conversation, and the sun card. But then right by the sun, we have the mountain and the ring. So it's just like, okay, these people who are loyal to him in his circle, which we normally reassign that card, but I didn't necessarily for this reading. Oops. Wow. Okay. It just looks like they're making a lot of promises to him while hiding behind their back that like things are terrible, that things are not going their way. I know from our perspective, it looks like Trump's getting away with a lot right now, but I think he really is having a very hard time getting the things that he wants. And I think that they're doing a lot of cheerleading to kind of keep his spirits up, which again, going back to the reference here with his advanced age, should a sitting president really be in this condition? No, this is crazy. This should not be normalized, but here we are. it is what it is. I guess there's not a whole lot we can do about it at this point. Let's see. I don't think that there's really anything else. I mean, there's a ton of little stuff like that, you know. Last thing I'll point out, the exit cards, the last 3 cards here, confusion, anxiety, nervousness, and big hits or cuts of some kind. So going forward, I feel like these 3 cards are going to be kind of a little bit of a running theme for the way things are going to play out for the Trump administration. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this was interesting to you. I found this one to be incredibly interesting, and I think Lenormand got straight to the point and told us the answer that we wanted to know. So let me know in the comments what you all think of this. Let me know your feelings and opinions and everything on the whole situation, what you think is coming up soon. And don't forget to like this video. And if you're new here and you enjoy political divination, hit the subscribe, become part of the community. All right, folks, that's it for this one. I will see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your week.